Nyojo and hello everyone. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to make spring rolls. Since it's summertime, you can also call it summer rolls. But I'll show you guys how to make two versions today. One with fried tofu and the other one is with the shrimp and pork. And we are going to be serving this with a hoisin-peanut sauce. So I'll show you guys how to make that sauce today as well. And spring rolls are actually pretty easy as long as you have and gather all your ingredients together. And after that, you can just start rolling. And big shout out to Spoons and Beyond for reaching out and providing me with amazing woodworking cutting boards and spoons and spatulas, which I'll show you guys later in the video. The cutting board and spatula that they provided me in this video, amazing work. So I'll have more details later in the videos. So again, thank you Spoons and Beyond. So let's go ahead and I'll show you guys how to make two kinds of spring rolls today, or also known as summer rolls. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make the sauce. So I'm doing the peanut hoisin sauce. So I have a pan here. I'm going to add in some hoisin sauce, about a cup of hoisin sauce. And I'm making quite a lot just because, you know, people dip in different levels. They either like a lot, they either don't. So I tend to make a lot just to make sure I have enough sauce for those who are eating the spring rolls. And into that, I'm going to add in about a cup of water as well. And then I have some chopped shallots here. This is about 1 tablespoon, one really small chopped shallot. Add that in there as well. All right, I'm going to turn on the heat and we're going to let that come to a boil. Stir this really quick. And this part doesn't take long. It comes pretty quick to boil. You just want it enough to warm up the shallots and cook it just a little bit, and also to help dissolve all the other ingredients that we're going to be adding in later. Alright, this has been simmering for a good 2 minutes and the shallots are soft, so I'm going to turn off the heat. And into this I'm going to add in some creamy peanut butter. If you guys want, you can add chunky peanut butter if you guys want to, but I prefer to use the creamy peanut butter, and then I'll add fresh roasted peanuts at the end. So add all of that in there. This is about 1/3 of a cup. You guys can use more or less depending on how thick you want this sauce. The peanut butter is what makes this sauce thick and nice and creamy. Go ahead and mix that really well to incorporate the peanut butter in with the sauce. Once that's mixed, we're going to add in all the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to add in some sugar just to help balance that creaminess. Even though hoisin sauce is really sweet already, it is really salty, so that sugar will help balance out that as well. And then I'm going to add in some vinegar. So vinegar is optional, but I do find that it helps balance out all of that sweet and salty in there. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of just regular distilled vinegar. If you guys want, you guys can use lime juice, but I just want that neutral sour taste instead of like that lime flavor taste. So again, you guys can use lime juice if you prefer. And I like my sauce semi-spicy, so I'm going to add in some sambal in there as well. This is optional, but I like my semi-spicy, so I'm going to add about, 2 teaspoons or however much spice you guys want in there. All of that in there. Mix this up. And at this point, the sauce is basically done. If you guys want, you can taste it, add more sugar, add more spice, more lime juice, or more vinegar. You could add more peanut butter. It's really your preference. So what I'm going to do now is just transfer this into a Tupperware, stick it in the refrigerator, and then we'll add some crushed peanuts when we are ready to serve the spring rolls. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's go ahead and transfer this into a Tupperware. Cover this really well, stick it in the fridge and let it cool until your spring rolls are all ready. And then once we're ready for the sauce, we can garnish it with some roasted peanuts, and that's it for the sauce. This can be stored in the fridge for about a week. You guys can use it for a week for anything really. And let's go ahead and start prepping the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so the sauce is cooling down right now, so the next thing I want to do and take care of is the protein. So depending on what kind of protein you guys end up using, you know, go ahead and start prepping that right now. So right now I'm going to be cooking the shrimp and pork version one. So I have some tender pork here that I'm going to be cooking up. These are perfectly cut to the size that I like, that I'm going to be cutting to put in the spring rolls. So this is about like 1.5 pounds of pork tenderloin, or your choice of pork that you prefer. A lot of people use pork belly too, so you know, it's your preference. So I have some water in here. I'm just gonna drop the pork in there. We're gonna let that cook in there. Ooh, yeah. Then I'm gonna go ahead and season this. So I have some mushroom seasoning powder that I have in here, and I'm gonna add in some salt. So I'm pretty generous with the salt, just because you want it to be seasoned on the inside as well. And then I'm gonna add in about 2 cloves of garlic in there that I smashed up, so we can release that garlic flavor in there. Add that in there. And then I also have 1 lemongrass here that I smashed up and cut in half. We're gonna add that into the pork as well. This helps it so that it doesn't taste so porky. And we're gonna let this cook for a good 20 to 25 minutes, or until the pork is fully cooked on the inside. And then we'll take it out and let it cool. So I'm gonna close this up and let it boil, and we'll come back to this. But anyways, if you guys see this spoon here, this is a spatula that Spoons and Beyond made for me. And it is so pretty. The wood they use is gorgeous. So if you guys want to check out their Instagram and their Etsy shop for their spoons and spatulas, feel free to check them out. So pretty, high quality wood they use. It's awesome. More details on their page if you guys were curious. I'll put the links down below. Alright, so I finished cooking the pork. It took me about 15 minutes of just boiling it. Depending on how thick or big of a chunk of pork that you end up cooking or using, the cooking time might be a little bit different. So just make sure you take the internal temperature. And also, you guys can tell if you poke it here, and any juices that comes out of here, that it's not red, then you're good to go. It comes out pretty clear, so they're all nice and clear. So that means it's good. So I'm going to cover this, let this cool before we use it. I'll stick it in the refrigerator, and then let's go ahead and take care of the shrimps. So for the shrimp, in the same broth that I cooked the pork in, I'm going to be cooking the shrimp in it as well. It's all flavor, so if you guys want, you can just do a regular water, but since I have this amazing broth right here now, I'm going to use it to cook the shrimps. So to this, I have about 20 shrimps with the head and shell on. I'm going to go ahead and add in the shrimps in there. And we're just going to let that cook until it's fully cooked and pink in the center. The cool thing about cooking shrimps in its own shell in here is that when you take it out and let it cool and peel it, it has a very nice, deep, beautiful orange color. Versus if you buy the ones that are already been peeled or deveined, they're much lighter orange color. But with the shell on and cooking it like this, it keeps its shape really nice and the color really, really nice. Give this a stir. So yeah, shrimp takes pretty quick to cook. I'm just gonna let this cook for a good 3 minutes to 5 minutes, and then we'll shock it in some ice water. Okay, I have some ice water here. I'm just going to go ahead and place the shrimps in there to cool it down faster. Again, depending on what kind of shrimp you guys end up buying, you know, if you end up buying like already pre-cooked frozen shrimps, you can just thaw it out and then cut it in half. But if you're buying raw shrimp, then cook it and put it in ice bath so it can cool faster and also keep its beautiful color. Okay, I know some of you guys will be curious how I take care of the shrimp. So if you guys end up using a whole shrimp like this, all I'm going to do is take the head off, put it somewhere so someone can snack on it, and then I start from the bottom here. Just peel off the shell basically. And then with the tail, I like to start from over here and try to pull it out as much as you can so you don't waste that tail right there. And then all you're going to do is take a knife and you're going to go ahead and cut this in half. And this is what you get, and any of that vein in there, you can take it out, throw it away. And then this is what you get. And then we're gonna be using this into the spring rolls. Easy as that. So yeah, I'm gonna finish peeling all of these, and then after that I'll show you guys how to take care of the tofu. I'll be frying the tofu, and then after that we'll prep the vegetables and the noodles and we'll start wrapping it up. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is to do the fried tofu. So for any vegetarian, this one is for you guys. I'm going to be using the fried tofu that I made. And in a pan here, I have some oil in there. I'm just going to shallow fry the tofu that I made. So here are the tofu, the fresh tofu that I made in my previous video. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put the links down below and up above as well. But these are the firm tofu that I made perfectly for the spring rolls. If you guys don't want to make fresh tofu, you can definitely buy any firm tofu of your choice. So I'm going to heat up the oil and drop this in. So I'm going to go ahead and fry this for a good maybe 3 to 5 minutes. I'll check it in between to brown up the bottom, flip it over, brown up the other side, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to coat it with flour whatsoever. As long as you have firm tofu, it'll be nice enough to fry it up as it is. Just make sure you use a non-stick pan. Okay, this is browning up nicely. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. And I'm just going to brown the bottom, and then we'll take it out of the oil, and then I'll show you guys what kind of sauce I like to cook it in. Okay, so I finished frying this. I drain out the oil, and then I put the tofu back in a pan because we are going to season it. And I'm going to be adding some teriyaki sauce. So this is optional if you guys want to season the tofu even more, because tofu is somewhat plain. You're going to go ahead and add some teriyaki sauce or whatever sauce you guys prefer to eat with tofu. Again, you guys can use your choice of teriyaki sauce. I'm just going to add enough to coat the tofu just for flavor. So at this point, we're just going to cook the teriyaki sauce out so that the tofu has a nice teriyaki sauce glaze over it. Again, the teriyaki sauce is optional. You guys can definitely just fry up the tofu and just cut it up as is, deep fried, but since tofu is somewhat plain, I kind of like to season it with some sauce. So yeah, this is pretty much almost done. You guys can see the teriyaki sauce is cooking out a little bit and it has thickened. So at this point, we just want enough to coat the top and bottom of the tofu, and then we'll cut it into strips and we'll be ready to put it in the spring rolls. It's pretty simple. Okay, so next order of business is to cook your vermicelli noodles. So the vermicelli noodles I'm using today is this pack here. I'm just using one bag of this. This is about, what is it, a 16-ounce bag of vermicelli noodles. And you know, always look in the back of the bag for directions on how to cook it, and that's about it. I'm just gonna follow the directions here, rinse it after I cook it, and then drain it, and we'll be ready to go ahead and wrap it, and that's it. So I'm gonna do that, and then after that we'll go do the vegetables and we are ready to wrap. So the sauce is done, the proteins are nice and cooked and cut, and then the vermicelli noodles are cooked and draining right now. And the last thing we want to tackle is the herbs and the vegetables. So I want to show you guys the ones that I typically like to use in my spring rolls. It's not much different from other spring rolls recipes that you would typically find online or on YouTube, but I'll show you guys anyways since you guys will be curious. I will be using some fresh mint today. I have some fresh basil here, bean sprouts, some shredded carrots here as well, some cilantro, some chives here as well, and then this is the Vietnamese perilla leaves, the one with the purple back here and the green front here. This is a pretty unique taste to it. If you guys don't like this, you know, you don't have to add it in there. I would say this is like an acquired taste. So try this out first before you continue adding on, because I know some people like it, some people don't. I do like this because it adds this really nice peppery kind of minty flavor to it. And then I just have some lettuce leaf here. Any kind of lettuce leaf works just as fine. But yeah, this is pretty much all I'm gonna add in there. But yeah, spring rolls are pretty versatile. You guys can add other vegetables, other herbs that you prefer. You can sub out other herbs here and vegetables with the ones that you like. For example, you can use peppers, bell peppers, you can use cucumbers. There's so many ingredients out there. You can definitely make it your own. So I'll show you guys how to wrap it now. Alright, so here are the rice papers that I'm going to be using. There's multiple sizes. You can either have, like, this is the most common size that a lot of people use, but there also is a bigger size here, and this is the one I'll be using. This, you know, I can use it too. It's really up to you. It doesn't really matter. This just put less ingredients in, so it's easier to fold. I like using the bigger one just because I have more room to work with, and also it folds up. It rolls up really nice because you have so much space. So I'm going to use the bigger one today, but again, you guys can use this smaller one if you guys prefer. So the first thing we want to do is to wet the rice paper here. So I have a pretty wide pot here with some warm tap water. I'm going to go ahead and just drench this in here for just a couple seconds. You don't need much, because the more it sits on the cutting board that you're going to roll it on, the more moisture it's going to soak up. So you don't need to soak it that long, just enough until it gets kind of flexible like this. That should be good. And we'll take it out. And we're going to place this on a flat surface. You guys can use a cutting board, you can use a big flat plate, whatever you guys like. Spread that out really nice and flat there. By the way, this cutting board is also from Spoons and Beyond, and it is gorgeous. I love this cutting board. It is gorgeous, isn't it? Like the patterns and the wood type and the way they glued it together is amazing. They do use high quality wood to make it last long for cooking, and everything is handcrafted and hand sanded, and it is just so pretty and amazing. So go ahead and check them out. I'll put the links down below if you guys were curious to check out their Etsy and their Instagram shop. Alright, let's go ahead and start rolling. So we're going to work this pretty quick. I have some lettuce leaf here, not too much. If you add too much, it's going to be harder to roll out into a nice spring roll. And then I'm going to add in my herbs. You guys got to add as much herbs as you want, you know, because some people like it a lot, some people don't. I've got my mint, basil, and some cilantro. Let's go ahead and add in the perilla leaf as well. Just a little bit of carrots, some bean sprouts. Then we'll add in the vermicelli noodles that we cooked up. Again, don't use too much, because if you use a lot, you will have a harder time to roll it. And I've made that mistake. I've done pretty big spring rolls before. Alright, so that's about it for that. We are going to go ahead and fold the ends here. So now we can add in the protein. Let's start with the tofu first, because it is vegetarian. I'm going to add it at this point here, at the stage here, once you fold it in. And then we'll start rolling it out like this. Tuck it in as you keep going. Keep tucking this in. The more you tuck it in and roll, the tighter and the prettier the roll is going to be. So keep tucking and rolling, tucking and rolling, and this is what you get. It's a nice, pretty spring roll. This is one of the reasons why I like to use the bigger rice paper wrapper, just because it makes the spring roll come out really, really nice. So yeah, that's about it. I'll show you guys how to do this shrimp and pork one. So I'll show you guys the pork and shrimp one. So again, I have my rice paper here that I soaked in the water. Let's go ahead and add in the lettuce leaf here, your herbs, perilla leaves here, add in the carrots that we shredded, some bean sprouts, the vermicelli noodles that we cooked. Again, don't add too much or else it's going to be harder to roll. Okay, and at this point, let's go ahead and start rolling from the sides in. Okay, And then once the sides are folded in, let's go ahead and add in the pork that we cut up here as well. And then we're going to add in the shrimps. So I'm going to add in 3 of the shrimps that we cut in half and deveined. Nice and pretty. I'm going to face it orange side down and make sure these are all facing pretty much in the same angle like this. And then this is optional, but we're going to add in the chives. If you guys want, is have it stick out a little bit just for a nice presentation. And same thing, we're just going to roll, tuck and roll. Just make sure you bring all the ingredients together, tuck and roll for a nice tight spring roll. And that way it makes it prettier too. And again, if you guys end up using the bigger rice paper, it's a lot easier for me, especially for me, to roll it out into a nice spring roll. And yeah, that's about it. Pretty nice. It's pretty simple. Pork this side, shrimp this side, and pretty simple. So the more you do this, the more you'll get a hang of doing it and making it look prettier. You know, the first few might be kind of ugly, but as you continue rolling it, you might get really good at it. It just takes practice. So I'm going to continue rolling out the rest of the spring rolls, and then we can cut it so you guys can see the inside and dip it in that delicious hoisin-peanut sauce, and then we're good to go. It's quite simple. Alright, so we are done rolling this out. I did about, I think, roughly 25 spring rolls total. Minus 2 because I ate 2 of them along the way. But other than that, you guys can serve it with the sauce. Here's the hoisin sauce here. I'm gonna go ahead and garnish it with a few crushed peanuts on top. Okay, if you guys want, you guys can cut this into 3rds or 4s. Doesn't matter, however way you want to cut it. And then you guys can serve it up like this on a plate with a sauce on the side here, or you can just eat it like as it is whole like this and just dip it in there. Pretty versatile. But yes, anyways, this is what it looks like on the inside here. Pretty much get a bite of everything here. Pretty cool. You can just dip in the sauce.